All right, everybody, we've got a very special episode today. We've got the Nakid Gardeners in the house after long time of trying to get them here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So if you don't know, the Nakid Gardeners have a YouTube channel. They put a lot of tips and tricks out on YouTube. Tricks. And
tips.
I'm not taking that out. But yeah, give us one, for people that don't know, give us a little introduction and then let's get rolling.
All right. Well, my name is Sydney, and this is
Tori.
And we are the Nakid Gardeners. We started gardening as foodies because the Mrs. Nakid Gardener would purchase some stuff from the grocery store and forget she would have it, like basil.
I feel like we're going to get a theme of this is all your fault.
It is all. It started with the female, as always. We were all glorious in the time of when the earth started. And then when the
all right, relax.
No, and this whole story is also the whole, you know, because Eve ate the apple, you know.
So
allegedly,
yeah.
So we started off as foodies. She would buy some basil or some type of herbs from the grocery store, and she would forget about it, not knowing that once you buy it, you have to use it right there or within 2 to 3 days. So I went to YouTube University to find out how to propagate and how to keep these herbs alive. And then that just led down the rabbit hole. So we started posting videos of everything that we were growing from there. And I didn't want to flood our family and friends' timeline of everything that we're growing. So we started a page, then we started an Instagram page. Mm-hmm. And we started off as Holland's Harvest. And some of our friends and family members was asking us, hey, can you do a video on how to do this? How do you do that? And stuff. I'm like, well, I don't feel comfortable in front of a camera. And she was like, I'm not doing this.
You're my show pony.
So one day while we was in church doing communion, kind of like what we're doing now. And
I doubt it's like we're doing that.
I don't know what church you go to.
Yeah, I'm in.
And so they was talking about how Eve and Adam took of the forbidden fruit, and that's how they have a vision that they had the knowledge of they were naked and how different things of how they were brought up and whatever. And so I was like, hey, let's become the Nakid Gardeners. And she was like, oh, hell no. I was like, wait, hear me out. It's naked because we're not doing anything synthetic. It's all organic. She's like, I'm not on board with that.
Well, because as a female, I mean, dudes are still creepy at Walmart with me, okay? So I was like, I'm going to go on a public format.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to the internet and do this.
Yeah.
That'll work out real well.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was my hesitation until, we start saying the name, and I kind of I have this, joke sense of humor, and I kind of, watch people's faces when I told them.
We were the Nakid Gardeners, especially in church.
And I was like,
they were like, what, the Nakid Gardeners? That sounds kind of weird. And they'd be up there, look, you can see them on the phone, like, oh. And then also we see a subscribe that they subscribe. That's when YouTube used to alert us when people are subscribed.
Things are so different now.
Yeah. And so that's, we started getting red flagged because of our name. It was spelled Naked, and we were getting close to monetization. And so we had to change it to ID. And it's been working kind of well for us.
Yeah, we don't get flagged and dinged like we did previously. That's
this week.
Yeah. And so we started off as, like I said, urban backyard gardeners in this about 400 square foot space of our backyard. She started growing some stuff in our front yard because of the Dallas County ordinance would not allow you to grow food, but you could grow ornamental.
Yeah, we were not in an HOA. Like that was one thing when we got married. We were anti-HOA. But
you're correct.
Yeah. So we've never done HOA. But when we moved, we picked this place in the city because it was really just city ordinance, and the workers don't get
nobody gives a damn in Garland.
They don't get, they don't get paid enough to really police.
Stop sign fell down. Yeah, whatever. Roads are busted. That's all right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had a medicinal herb garden going in the front yard. I had okra because it passed as hibiscus flowers.
Yarrow.
Yeah, I felt I was having fun being a rebel. growing as much as I could get away with. Even in our alleyway, we called it Tomato Alley. We had, trellised up tomatoes all down the alleyway.
And okra on the other side of the driveway.
And we started to be like, we're kind of getting good at this, but we're outgrowing this classroom, this space.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then we went to a homesteading conference and basically opened up our eyes that, if you have this much space, you can even, instead of raising food, you can also raise animals for food. And we always knew that the food system was broken because of the documentaries that we saw that kind of got on to us with this. We even did
we were vegans for a whole year.
Yeah.
And now we're teaching people how to process chickens.
Yeah.
I like it.
So
that's how we came here, and now we're basically trying to teach people what we've learned. And she posted something on Instagram and Facebook a while back. There's more roads to get to the top of the mountain than just one. And so we try to teach at least our ways. Not going to be the best way, maybe, but it's going to be our way that we find best success at.
Whatever gets you to that goal. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to do stuff. And a lot of people in the content creator space that we have found have been very like, my way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we just think there's a lot of ways.
The move from Garland to where you guys are now, which is about 20 minutes from me, out in a little town in northeast Texas, right? So it's a big undertaking to. I mean, had any of you ever lived in the country before or anything like that? So how do you even begin to know? We just kind of started this. We know we want a little bit of acreage. There's a lot of properties to look at. How did you guys narrow down not only the location, but how did you pick the land itself, and what attributes are you guys looking for?
Well, before we even got into wanting to do homestead, luckily we stood on the shoulders of some of the giants, what we call our mentors, and we've been asking them different questions about what do y'all do, how do y'all do it, what animals did you have best success with and worst success with, and we were like, okay, we're not doing those animals.
Yeah, well, we were mindful enough because, we're going into this also as people preparing to age in place. Like, I have grown kids.
Thank you for saying that.
This is such a different, people are coming into this at different stages in life, and we're at a different stage. So, I mean, we don't have child labor. So we had to take into consideration.
Yeah,
we're not breeding.
Right. I'm just gonna. So you and I we've tried to get together for a long time, but recently I've spent a lot of time out your farm. You and I have hit it off, and it's unbelievable the way we think about the world and the way we phrase things. So I just.
Yeah,
you appreciate my humor.
We're right there. So yeah.
So we have a lot of friends that do this homesteading that have multiple amount of kids,
and we're having that talk with them. We're like, hey, they leave one day.
Yeah, I'm like, some of them are teenagers. Like, so what? I see how they interact with the kids and see how the kids, or my mom would hate to call them kids, children, are doing the chores and whatnot, and we're like, we can't do that. They're doing these chicken trailers, or chicken tractors. They're getting inside, and I'm like, I don't like that.
Right.
And so that's when we found the Johnston Scovich. I'm like, oh, that looks comfortable. I could stand up in there and get the chickens. And
everything we do is in preparation for where we're at because it's us doing it. Yeah.
And we see a lot of our friends. They get an animal, and just jump all into it, and see them struggling. I'm like, let's take our time with that. We're going to get infrastructure first. We told ourselves that's our main thing. We're going to find a mentor for whatever animal that we get before we even do that. And then try to work up of a system. So, we started off with chickens and kind of working
and turkeys. That was a bit much.
and slowly working our way up to different animals because she's doing it mostly by herself.
All by myself.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I've heard it multiple times per day, 3 times.
He's like, it's not that hard. I'm like, you're not here doing it.
But I try to make it easier process for her until my time of leaving the corporate world. So that way, once we get into that age, it's going to be a easy flow.
Man, I'm so glad you said it because I think it's something that gets missed. We've had talks about homesteading. It's in like you guys don't have a ton of kids, and whatever people want to do, whatever, right? I
Yeah.
just like that wouldn't have been for me. But I saw my parents at probably 55 move out and acquire 6 acres, and all I saw them do was work, work, work. It was nothing but work all the time, having acreage. I have another set of friends. They're 55 or so. They just moved out, and it's like you just bought a job. So for you to guys to look out and go, we want to have X, Y, and Z animal. Who does X, Y, and Z animal, and learn from them very specifically whether that's going to be right for you or not. And look, there's always trial and error in which sometimes you just got to try it for yourself. But at least knowing this is a good indicator of even moving forward is a good thing to think about.
And the thing I say all the time is that we're in a stage of life where we are making the most educated mistakes that we can make. This is about making educated mistakes because, I mean, we're just not young, spry,
Right.
people that we have brains for a reason.
I like where you're at because better or worse, there is a gas station just down the. I mean, just down real close. You're not secluded. I like the fact that you have a little security with those people. They know you. They look out for you. You do have neighbors, but at the same time, you still have acreage. Mm-hmm. It's a unique. Well, not for a lot of people out there that can get that amount of acreage and yet have people so close.
Yeah.
I initially, when we found our property, and you were asking earlier about like what we were looking for. I mean, we were making a list of things. One of the things he did not want was the main road, how it is, because we do have semis that are coming by,
right?
And sounds. But with me there by myself, as much as I am, it's a sense of comfort for me to know that there is help, like right off the road. And we're kind of on an island of a main road. So we don't get near the amount of predators that the people across the street that back into 80 acres behind them. Yeah, it's unique.
And the only reason why I didn't want it that way because one of our content creator friends was saying how their previous house was similar to ours, and they were constantly, because people knew of them, they would constantly come up and in their driveway and take, just walk out and. I felt
Jess.
Mm-hmm. I felt a way to, I don't know how to put it, but there was a lack of security because she's going to be there by herself, and with the driveway basically right there, people just come up and, who knows what. But luckily now that we have more cameras and we know our neighbors, so if she has anything of that nature, she could pick up the phone and one of our neighbors could come right there.
And the gun.
Yeah.
And you guys are putting yourself out there as far as, hey, this is us, this is what we do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people overstep and just show up. You know, I don't know if that's happened for you, but I do know of some content creators that people are just showing up and you're like, hey, this is not what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your home. You know?
Yeah. And I am the comfortable type that would be like, hey, that's not what this is. But I haven't had that
so far.
That experience. Yeah. It's actually been a great experience. We were surrounded by a very large Mennonite community that knows who we are. And we really like them. They're our best customers right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a good experience. But when we were looking for property, like how we ended up this way is that's just how the market prices were going. We were looking down in the Houston area or just north of the Houston area.
Or south of the Dallas area.
Yeah.
So we get close to my dad. And
we wanted
things were just popping up and going that fast because I was working in Florida at the time, traveling back on the weekends. And by the time I fly back, the house
I was shopping for the properties. Like my list included a pond. To him, that was a dispensable item on the list. But this property, when I walked onto it, it had, the pond, it had the shop is what his deal is, and it had all the things and I wanted a structure that I could go into and it felt like a home. It didn't feel like a project because we have a lot of work to do outside of the home.
Right.
Yeah. And so I wanted to have a place that felt like a refuge when I walked
You didn't
into
need
it.
to roof it. You didn't need to remodel it. All that stuff.
I mean, he has all these ideas of remodel, and I'm like, I'm just fine. It's just the two of us. Like, I don't care about that much. Yeah.
Make it nice. People show up, and that's disgusting.
I know.
Don't want anybody there.
Right? They won't leave. No, but it's been nice. Yeah.
So let's go into the infrastructure a little bit. I guess Sydney, let's start the shop. I mean, that's obviously a place to keep your stuff out of cover, a place to work in. It's great, but I know that you have put in like some really nice cabinets, work tables. You've really set it up. And
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I thought you were gonna keep on going.
Yeah, I did too. And it just kind of
okay. I'm like, what?
I'm going to interject and just say, like, something that a lot of people don't know. Yes, we're the Nakid Gardeners, but his previous experience as, like working with structures in the Air Force, like he's, in the Air Force, he was building things, and so the shop was such an important thing because he built stuff. Like, he's built all of our structures, our tractors, and tons of stuff for our garden. Like, I think you've done a lot of ingenious, things that help our process because you have that skill set to do that. So he built out a whole miter saw station in our shop, which we had previously.
Yeah.
But coming to this lifestyle, it's only worked because he had this skill set. I feel like I would have been a lot more timid coming into this life if he didn't know how to build anything.
Right. Well, a lot of homesteaders, from what I've seen and heard, is they wear many hats, and the first building that they do, whatever it may be something real janky and stuff, but as they keep on getting at it, they learn the tricks in the trade and stuff. But the shop was very important to me because back in Garland, we had our small little garage, and it was, just in my working table alone just took up a lot of that garage space. So we had to build a lot of things out in the driveway and stuff. So now we got this huge 40 by 60 shop with an overpass and stuff. So no matter what, wind, sleet, snow, rain, whatever, I could still be building.
We can still be outside building projects. So
it's been a blessing and stuff. The miter saw was a big key because when we were moving, we still didn't unpack a lot of our tools, and I got frustrated because we had chicks on the way, so had to go back to Home Depot, repurchase a lot of.
We have two of everything, basically.
So instead of now electric, now we have battery operated because that's very helpful on the homestead.
Well, it's coming in handy in the fields.
Yes.
Like when we have to go do repairs out in the field.
Right.
To have the battery operated stuff.
So
yeah.
The shop was a big key for me that kind of helped sell me the thing. Everything else in the property, I'm like, saw the shop. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. And, I kind of tease him a little bit because, he has a ton of carpentry, like building experience, but it's all rough. Like, it's not great polished.
As it should be.
Yeah.
I'm not a finished carpenter. Rough carpentry,
Yeah. So, but that's been really helpful for our journey.
And so as everything was getting built out, it seems like, and you said it earlier, that you've navigated more towards the poultry than anything else. Where did that start first creeping in? And that's, if you told me I had to do that, like I was like, I can see being a vegetarian, right? Like I don't like to mess with that. So,
well, poultry was not the first animal I wanted to bring aboard. It was rabbits, but she was like, "No, I cannot see myself butchering rabbits and stuff like that. I could see it for the poop." I was like, "Well, chicken is the gateway to homesteading," so we did chicken, and so we were following Joe Salatin, Justin Rhodes, and other content creators, learning how they do the whole process. So we got 30 egg layers and 20 turkeys, and
you did a lot of homework. Like before we got our first group, like he was, the way our bank account's set up is how he says it. I'm gonna make sure like it's dual purpose and it have a good reputation. So like every decision we made was based on dual purpose and egg capacity.
Yeah, we try to make sure each animal has a minimum of 2 jobs on the property. Our egg layers provide us eggs, and also they till up the ground to help and better our soil. Our ducks, once we get our orchard right, they're going to be able to make sure all the slugs and all that other stuff, we can release them out in the orchard and help keep the pasture down of other pests, snakes, and frogs and stuff like that.
And our geese, they're great shepherds, really.
Not great for a content farm, though.
Well, it depends on who you are, like Morgan.
If I go to a farm and there's geese, I'm like, we're not recording audio here. It's not happening.
Yeah.
After a few minutes, they go and chill and leave you alone.
When the hell's this? Because I've been out there a lot. There's no chilling with those guys.
Well, it's because you don't live there.
Yeah.
So.
and now that what they see us, they're like, at certain times they know it's feed time and that. Right.
Yeah.
But we try, like even our rabbits now. She finally warmed up to the rabbits. I had to cook her a nice rabbit, so she was like, okay.
But I'm still not gonna, like, when it comes to chickens, I'm first one there. Like, I'm good. Whenever
our chicken starts to cough, she's like, time to go. I'm like, whoa.
There's a rooster. Yeah.
But our rabbits, they're good for the manure straight to the garden. We could provide meat for ourselves and income for us if we sell them and stuff like that. So we try to do it a way where if we're going to bring something to our farm, it's not going to be for all cuteness. The only cuteness is Sage the cat.
Peter.
That cat, let me tell you, I've never seen a cat so loving. That's the best cat ever.
It's a dog cat, and he's worthless.
A dog cat.
Very worthless.
That dude didn't shed. He'd be here in this house right now.
We almost brought him here on purpose.
I think your wife would hate us.
She's cat allergic.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been a good journey for us, because we are kind of very careful about all the decisions that we're making. Yeah.
So we've talked, you and I do want to talk about the bird program as far as the workshops and stuff, but aside from that, as far as bringing on income, we have talked about the farm stand versus the insane amount of work that goes into going to the farmer's market.
I am not attracted to how much work that looks like at the farmer's market.
It is a lot.
Like loading up the products and all of the things. Something I say a lot is there's so many things that are going on that we didn't plan for. Like we've had some dumb luck about some stuff. And the fact that we are on a busy road allows us to do something different than what a lot of other farmers do. Like we could actually have a farm stand where we are.
And I like that because you can dictate the hours. You can dictate when and where and how. I love all of that because that puts the ball in your court that's going to suit you the best.
And that's one of the reasons why we haven't done a farmer's market just yet, because of my work hours. Sometimes I have to work weekends and things of that nature. So I don't want to force all of that on her if I'm out working or have to travel out or whatever it may be. So talking with you, definitely doing a farm stand will definitely benefit us, and we're definitely going to consider it. It's just the time to build it out and whatnot to get it all.
It's very important coming to this life to understand you have to pace yourself. We have an elephant board. We call it an elephant board for a reason, because you cannot sit down and eat an elephant in one meal.
Sitting. Yeah.
And, this is a journey. It's not a race.
And your time you're busy doing the day-to-day. You're still working full-time, or I assume full-time.
Yes.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah, there's a magic table in our house that he's like, what have you done? And there's a magic table, like the laundry's done, like the cooking's done, all this stuff is done. And
the married life. Here it goes. Here we go.
Yes. And it's, and outside work. So it's, I don't watch TV. Easy. I do not watch TV. So yeah, there's that. What?
I'm looking forward to the farm stand because I think the people I see that have done that right, are murdering it. And given that you guys have a blank slate, got some ideas in the work. We haven't talked about this, but that project I'm working in Atlanta, we're building a farm stand as part of it. And I think we may have some resources coming up that I should know something around January.
I want to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, because I would like that one shed closest to the road. I would like to tear that down and build a farm shed out of that where it has a solar power and rain catching system for if we have to wash or do.
Yes, homestead or bingo now. Solar power, rain catchment.
And to be able to wash our hands, a tankless water heater so it could meet standards of the certain degrees, yada, yada,
yeah,
yada.
I feel like we have a lot of homework to do, and we have some time to do that homework. Yeah.
I do like the fact you guys seem to go to a lot of conferences. You go visit a lot of places. There's a local kind of work program is the best way I can describe it, in which you guys visit other farms and do some work and trade some of that off. I like how active you are in that community, while you've talked about this just being slightly askew of the norm of it.
Yes. Yeah. They're
that was delicate, wasn't it?
yeah. Well, we're lucky that the community we're in, the program or the creators, the founders, have a no drama policy, no religion, and no politics. They'll kick you out if that is something that, because it's just a fire starter these days.
I'd like to send them a trophy.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah, they are.
They do not allow it.
Yeah, they'll welcome anything that deals with homestead and building community and things of that.
But as soon as you bring something that is going to be a divisive, you're not part of the community.
And the reason why we go to conferences, like we've butchered chickens with some of our mentors and stuff like that twice now. And we decided to go to one of their butchering class because no matter if you're a novice, intermediate, or an expert, it's still good to go to classes because, like I said, there's more roads to go up to the top of the hill than just that one. And each time we go to one of these, we're learning something different.
We've picked up something different every single time. Like, I want to be a forever student. I don't ever want to feel like I'm a master.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like, even going to these work and learns where they have once a month, learning different trades, trenching, building the fence, extending out chicken coops, different things of that water catchment system. That's all something that could be of value to our homestead.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful thing seeing how this group has coordinated a community that is on board to come together with the idea of helping somebody do what they couldn't do in a year, like in one day, like 50 people show up. And like, where do you see that? Like,
well, the other thing that you get, and it's the same reason as Bootstrap Farmer, I insist on, if we're going to onboard a new vendor or work with a new manufacturing partner, we're coming to your joint. And we are going to spend a lot of time both knowing who we're, in essence, forming a long-term relationship with these people. And when I'm there, I see other projects that they're working on for other people, most of it all of it's outside of industry. And we've pulled so many things from somebody else's mistakes or ideas that seeing it in person, just like if you go to somebody else's joint, oh man, look how they did the light or the faucet or whatever the little thing may be. Not that you have to have a discussion about it, but you're going to take that home and you're going to implement a better practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to expose yourself to other people.
Well, I get in trouble for that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to be willing to participate in community, to go and see and learn how other people are doing it. Like, how can you improve if you have no creative ideas to look at,
So several times you've mentioned the word lifestyle, which I really like because when you start talking about homesteading, again, you start thinking of, especially those of us that are kind of in the know of the industry and what's going on or the lifestyle, it's you automatically think of certain things. They may have more than 3 or 4 kids. They may be motivated for one of several factors. Again, I feel like, and we've talked about, you feel like you're a little outside of that. Maybe it's because of age. Maybe it's where you're at in your life. Your kids are grown. What's it like going to places knowing that you guys may not fit in with that square peg, round hole type situation?
It's interesting.
Well, for me, I feel being a military brat and being in the military, I feel like I'm a chameleon. I can fit in just about anywhere. We wasn't raised this way, and so going into these, we're not going into with a defense mode. We're going up, to any conference that we're going. We're open eyes. We're going to know. We're going to learn something. So we go with the pen and papers, different things. She'll go to some events.
We always divide and conquer.
Yeah, she'll go to different events and speaking. I'll go to different events and speaking. And sometimes we'll even meet up and do the same speaking, but we'll still take different notes and things of that nature. But we always try to go to anything as an open-minded couple or person.
But we're always approached and felt out, and because and I'm just gonna say it, and in the homesteading lifestyle. there is, there's a particular idea that only one particular type of person does this kind of thing, and I want to show that we don't represent the norm. Like, we're doing this. It's not owned by any particular group,
Well, it's like there's so many reasons to to have a prep, right? And so for me right now, I've been a prepper since I was like a little kid. It's always so natural. Like, I don't make a big deal about it. Like, if people knew the extent that I went to a long time ago, that's my insurance policy. That's how I view it. No matter who's elected or what the situation is, I feel like I'm ready because I took care of that so long ago. That, look, I want to go to the store, you can buy a little extra stuff. You just don't have to be crazy. And what has happened over the years is we get ice storms up here. 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't have power for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to go to the store. We didn't run out of heat. We ate great. It's just normal stuff. Or we're also in a place like Houston is 6 hours away. A lot of times resources kind of get shuffled around. I don't want to go to the store in the middle of any of this because prices will go up. They don't have things. Mm-hmm. When Corona first hit, shelves were empty. I was like, whatever.
That was an eye opener for us.
Yeah. And for me, it was like, well, I'm glad I did the thing. Wasn't religiously motivated, wasn't politically motivated. If you are motivated by those things, hey, I understand that too.
I think it's an intelligent thing to do.
It's just practical.
It was fun.
And I don't think we have to be separated for why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
It was funny because during that whole time frame, we were really getting a lot of friends, family members, and stuff hitting us.
It's like you won the lottery, right?
Yeah, like, all kinds of people. So we're thinking about growing our food now.
No, they all made fun of us when we were doing it.
Oh yeah, we were the crazy people.
Yeah,
for sure.
We were crazy.
But then all of a sudden now, hey, so how you do this and all this other stuff? I'm like, oh, we're not too crazy now.
Yeah.
But like during that time, we really didn't have anything to worry about or fear about because we were growing our food. Then we went up to the homesteading conference thing, and we was wanting to raise our own meat per se. Then, like what was it last year when people was like, oh, all of this food and stuff all the meat and stuff was short on shelves and stuff. We were like, well, we got all that in our freezer right now, so you know. But we wouldn't consider ourselves prepping per se, but we were just preparing ourselves to not rely.
We come
from
a military background, like we were raised by military people.
And it gives you the opportunity to pick and choose how you spend your time or how you spend your resources. I've got a shop full of any kind of tool I could ever need. I got the experience to do it this week, and this is the first time we've shot in this new studio. I needed these lights hung. Could I have hung those lights? Yes. Did I want to crawl, or did I have time to go into my attic and run a line and this, that, and the other? I had 2 electricians here for 4 hours doing this.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, that would have took me 4 days, and I don't have time for it.
Sounds like our camera install.
Yes.
He could have done it.
But I know how to do it. Mm-hmm. Being able to pick and choose when you use a skill or when to pass it on or when to, I'm going to give some money to the other folks in the community.
Yeah.
And that brings me to...
Go ahead. Bring it.
I don't see the appeal of moving out into the woods with a bunch of dudes and chopping wood all day like that. I'm 47 years old. That doesn't seem appealing to me. However, when I was 25, I would have been down for that. And I think if people would open up a little bit and go, we still need community.
Mm-hmm.
If we think about what farming has meant to us over the whole span of human civilization, of we're no longer hunter-gatherers, we have a few people growing food, so you can become a carpenter, or you can become a doctor, or you can become something other than just trying to survive. Roads get built, commerce gets built, theater gets built, arts get built, and we now have people that can have time to be musical. And so, well, this is really getting off on it. You
Go ahead.
Bring it. It's good.
Whenever I see folks going, well, we have to get away and we have to stop and do exactly what you did, and I can have this conversation freely because we've talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this is not the singular mindset that you have. You're still a part of community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you're going to raise chickens and cut them up and have dual incomes in which you teach others and you still sell to others because you know that not everybody's going to want to, I don't want to chop up my own chicken.
Well, a lot of people come into this life and they just cannot bring themselves to do that.
Right. So I don't know. I feel like we're still functioning in a society in which we have goods to now barter, trade, sell, whatever. You're still going to need a tooth pulled.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to have to get from point A to point B.
You still need glasses.
Yeah. Yes, I do. But it's just, I would hope that as we continue, look, the next election cycle is whenever, a couple of years from now.
Yeah.
It's going to get gross.
It's only gotten more gross.
Each year it gets worse.
And it's gross for us to watch. And to me, the worst thing is what people are doing, like how they're behaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking with Madam President from Welcome to Chickenlandia. I was telling her that the last time I could see Americans, us in the country, come united as one was the 9/11.
Thank you, because I've said that. And I think a lot of people have echoed
Ever
that.
since then, it seems like we're getting divided and divided. That wall is getting wider and wider and wider. It's like,
and when he brought that up, the thing I brought up is, I mean, it's like there still has to be those of us that remind others that there are people in power that don't want us to get along.
Right.
And so, if we're dividing in that way, there's an objective happening.
When people realize it's not the politician, it's the big corporation that's really running this country, and be mad. Really, we should be mad at them for
each other.
Yeah, because it's just crazy what we're allowed to put into the big corporations are allowed to put into the food. But if you do it all natural, it's like, oh, you're shunned and something. Like, look at
there's
the guy
so much overreach.
Look at the Amish guy that got his house raided and almost like $5 million or something, a large amount of dollars that he had to do to. It's just crazy how the food industry,
get
medical,
away with what
education,
they're doing.
Just all corporations. It's crazy.
We've had to navigate Bootstrap Farmer as a company through pre-COVID, during COVID, after COVID, all these election cycles. It's been rough, because people have, this is what I think, this is my views. I don't disagree necessarily with any of these views that we're having to come against. I may not go so hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
As a company, we're like, whatever you want to do, we understand.
Yeah.
Because, look, we're a company of, several people, a couple dozen people. There's parts of us that all agree with some of these ideologies. But it's, as a company, you can't just go out and go hard stance, because we also want to be there for somebody that, man, I just want to grow some sunflowers, or I want to grow some microgreens for my kids or whatever. But it's been rough to navigate. You'll see patches of time over the last couple of years where we've gotten real quiet, not because I personally didn't have something to say, but I can't go and speak for the company because there's other people working here.
Yeah.
There's other people we're trying to service, whether I agree with them or not, or do or don't. As long as they're trying to feed their community, I haven't changed my point of view since I started working here in 2018. If you're feeding your community and wanting to do that very well, I am all for you, irregardless of the reason.
Yeah.
And I'm
the only time I have an issue is if you are doing something like that and it's only for somebody that agrees with your position on something. That's when I feel like there's a darkness, and with us, with what our position has been, because it's been unique for us in a content creator space to watch people that, like we've watched as soon as it got to where it wasn't about the content. It wasn't about learning how to grow something. It was also, you have to see things my way, and this is what my beliefs are.
Dude, I'm wrong all the time. Like how is somebody so sure of themselves that this is what it's going to be?
Yeah.
Whenever, to your point, we're all being lied to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult.
So we made a position like this. It wasn't even a real conversation because we're just on the same page that we're about content that helps somebody. We're not trying to. We're not politicians.
Our main goal is to teach one person, make sure everyone that watches our videos is able to grow at least something. Grow something and whatever you grow and better your soil. I mean, those are our two main things: grow something what you normally eat and improve your soil. And
here's the punchline: you can't grow it all. No matter what you think. No matter how big the operation is, you can't grow everything. How the hell are you going to grow shoelaces, right? Yeah. So you have to grow in excess of what you're good at into going back out into society. Maybe you did go off and chop firewood all summer long. Great. You have firewood to barter or to sell or whatever the case may be. You still need to function as a society. We can't create all these islands, to your point of this is only for us. Well, what happens if you need something else? So where's your us then?
Yeah. The bridge is pretty fragile if you put yourself in a corner like that. Yeah.
And if I just keep going to say, we've been separated, we've been divided. Creating those islands just furthers that. And if you're against whoever the hell they is, you're only helping that whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we don't feed into it at all. Like we
look at it, we like, oh my goodness, and then just.
We're like,
well, look, and you find your people, right? I mean, here we are.
We have found a bunch of our people, our tribe, sticking to like what we're doing.
And don't get twisted. I want people that are in this for religious reasons, or people that are in this for we're conservatives or we're liberals. Hey. At least they stand for something. Look, maybe I'm the wrong one for being middle of the road on stuff. I just always try to put myself in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah.
If somebody's coming hard in the paint and they believe this, why do you think that? Like help me understand.
I'm more curious than anything.
I'm still not going to believe certain things, but at least I'll understand, okay, this is why they think this is. And to be able to at least empathize with that, I think is something that we're missing.
Yes, and that's what I see a lot of people. They're not trying to see the viewpoint of other people. They're only seeing that viewpoint of theirs or how they were brought up. And I think that's
wondering why everybody's not
right.
Just like them.
And to only see how you've been brought up, you're in the military, you've got to see all kinds of people, you're forced to live with other people who have grown up completely different than you. At the end of the day, people want to take care of their family, they want to go home, they want to see their kids. I don't understand.
Yeah, one of the unique lenses I think that we have in growing up on a military base and around that is having so many friends, because as kids, like many of our classmates were Korean and Japanese, and we, as kids, like we're shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of diversity. And so that has actually influenced our food palette.
I grew up on a base town, and it was heavy Laotian, heavy Cambodian that were the wives of the guys that came back. And said, "Here's Air Force."
We love kimbap.
It's that alone. Growing up with again a lot of Hispanics in New Mexico, and a lot of the base that And we'd have a lot of Germans come through. It was always something new, something to discover. That has fueled my curiosity of food. That's why I'm here. Is like good food from all over the place. That's what I'm into, and I don't want to silo myself. Against it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one because I mean, like so much of our, I mean, as we said, we came to this as foodies. That was inspired from diversity of different cultures. Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it? And look, I've wanted to have this conversation, but it's so hard to have it. I don't feel like I can get on a platform again representing a company and go, this is what I think, because I want to understand what everybody else is saying, and meeting you guys. It's like finally I can talk, here. And we're recording this. I'm sure some people may or may not get upset, but I think at the end of the day, all this stuff that we see and all the stuff that we're concerned about, the three of us, it's not as bad as what people think. Like the sky is not falling. It's pretty rough right now, but let's be real.
These are things you can help soften when the sky does fall on.
We still get up every day.
The sky's been falling since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Like the end times have always been here, right? Yeah. So I know a lot of people are like super into that, and I can understand how you can interpret like the end times are coming. Look, maybe I'm wrong. Joke's on me, right? If next week,
but if the world ends, you prepared all that for nothing,
Yeah. So all I want to do, my main focus is let's make sure that us as a company, which by the way feeds my family, that we're doing the good work of we make stuff for you, we make stuff for you, we make stuff for you, and we're going to do the best of our ability while bringing in as much USA manufacturing as possible.
That's the biggie.
That's my sole focus. And I even though I'm less in the media world of Bootstrap Farmer nowadays, here we are. We're starting in some. You and I have a little series coming up that I'm very excited about. But it's just nice to finally get down and have a real conversation about this without being shunned or like.
Well, that's something I'm looking forward to our upcoming little commentary series that we have.
And look, as far as the media department, we're always trying to come up with something new. I want this to be very fun. What you guys are going to see is we're going to film a 12-part series just break down some fun lists. Yeah. We're going to have fun. You and I are sailors.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it clean so people can watch us squirm a little bit.
Hear a lot of beep.
We are a couple of heathens, but
sense of humor.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to bring up topics that could be heavily debatable. We're going to give our opinions. I'm hoping we argue.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to argue.
Yeah, imagine that. but we also want to hear everybody else's side. So that's going to start coming out in January. We're putting this out sometime around the end of the year, just to kind of close out the year and then start anew as you do. But this is a 2-part episode. The next part is you guys did do an NRCS grant. You guys did build one of our hoop houses. Just last week, you guys got approved. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into that in a separate episode. Thank you guys so much for putting up with my nonsense and coming over.
No problem.
I'm almost glad that it took so long to get together because now we have a little bit more history and we were able to ride the wave of the pandemic and everything.
Getting more comfortable with these podcasts. And when you first told me, have you ever thought about doing it?
Oh, but lately, that was, you were the first one that had asked him about it, that even brought it up, that made me realize it was something he would be nervous about.
Yeah, and then...
You don't strike me as the nervous type.
Well, because I had some liquid courage, so that helped. I'm kind of burning up in here. That tequila might need another one. No, but it's I get a little bit more comfortable, and she's actually got a lot more comfortable.
I was very anti YouTube channel. Yeah. I'm a wallflower, frost tender wallflower. So, but I feel that for me, having adult kids that like seeing their mom be who she is has made me just be who I am comfortably. And if you rock with me, cool. If not, that's fine too. But I'm going to be who I am.
I think about that a lot. I lost my dad in 2012, and he was a photographer by trade. Mm-hmm. And then I picked up photography like after the fact. We've never got to talk about that. So if podcasting was a thing back then, maybe he would have been on a couple of podcasts and I would have at least been able to listen to the conversation.
Mhm.
So I think it's interesting to, and you do, man. I'm an empty nester now. You have,
It's so weird for you. I know you're struggling.
yeah. It sucks. It sucks. But it's like,
you said they're stupid close.
but you have all this time back that you have to really, you like to learn who you are again outside of who you were the last 18 years.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
different.
you're still a parent, but it's in a different stage of parenting.
Right.
You know, like
Now you can actually be a friend and
when they pay their own bills, you can be a friend. When they're off the payroll, you can be a friend.
We're this close. This close to that. But it is, she doesn't get carded anymore. And so we go out to Dallas and it's been fun. So it's enjoying your children at a different stage. And it's so rewarding to see them grow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine, I've been text messaged probably 10 times today.
Hey, you did it right? So,
I feel like it now.
well, let's crash this one. We'll see you guys next week. We'll learn a little bit about your NRCS experience a little bit. We're going to probably play some hoop house stuff because I'm excited about it. But
yes, it's especially good because of our neighbors right down the road from us. They went to an off-brand place, and ours stood the test of the high winds, and theirs didn't. I'm like,
and yeah, we'll talk about it.
I'm
The next
sure.
episode. Take it back to the next episode. All right, Nakid Gardeners, NAKID.
yes.
It's the first time I
Yeah,
ever
if
spelled
you
anything right.
look up ED, you're not going to see what you want to see, or maybe you will.
Yeah.
But
We are the originals of the
OG.
Nakid Gardeners on YouTube,
Yeah.
Instagram, and Facebook.
Facebook is dead, homie.
Yeah, and TikTok. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.